Running a faster half marathon is within your grasp. Just 3 years ago, I had never run a half marathon. I'd only just started running. Fast forward 3 years, and just 2 months ago, at the age of 44, I ran a PB in a half marathon of 68 minutes and 22 seconds. Right, in that time, I've also won half marathon races. I've got trophies to prove it, and medals. And here's my London Marathon medal from the last video where I cried when I was holding it. We won't talk about that. Actually feeling a bit emotional talking about it. I really, really feel like I earned this medal. Yeah, that is why I enjoy running so much. I promise I don't carry this everywhere with me. But what I want to talk about in this video is that I didn't follow any special training plan or do any special workouts to run fast half marathon times and to win races. I just followed some simple principles that have worked for me over and over again in my training to get great results, and I'm going to share them with you in this video. A quick bit about me if you have never seen me before. My name is Patrick Martin. In April 2023, I ran the London Marathon in 2 hours, 24 minutes and 31 seconds. I was 42 years old at the time, and I'd only been running for 3.5 years. In my videos on this channel, I just share my story really and how I got to do that and everything I'm doing since then. So here are the strategies that I use to run a faster half marathon. I've left the most important ones to the end. The first one is that I increased my mileage, but I made sure I ran lots of quality mileage. So what does that mean? Well, most of you will have probably heard that to become a better runner, you need to run more. Simple. Increase your mileage, and that's what I did. And that really helped me. Yep, I became faster, my endurance improved, my strength improved, and yeah, I started to get better race times. But that wasn't the only thing that I did, and it wasn't the thing that really made the difference. The thing that made a difference was to run quality mileage, which for me meant running at a faster pace than easy paces. Now, a lot of the advice out there is to run lots and lots of easy mileage, and while I think that to be true in many ways, I found that running a lot of my mileage at what I call a steady pace, which is not really slow like a ploddy pace, which for me doesn't agree with me, I don't like, and not at really fast paces, which also, if I run lots of mileage really fast, it doesn't agree with me either, but somewhere in the middle, somewhere that is faster than an easy conversational pace, and it's a bit slower than, like, say, marathon pace, but it really gets the fast twitch fibers going in your muscles. It really allows me to feel what it feels like to run faster, but I'm not running overly fast and getting too tired and really stressing my body that much, and I'm not also plodding along slowly at easy paces all the time, which number one I found boring, but number two it's just I think it's counterproductive. When I ran lots of mileage at an easy pace, I found like I was running myself into the ground. I felt like I'd get more injury niggles. I found it more boring, and it just became a bit monotonous for me, and I didn't want to run. I felt that the more I practiced running slow, the slower I got. I found that I enjoyed running steady paces a lot more. And when I enjoy running, it means I'm more consistent, and I'll go out and I'll run more because I enjoy it. More about that later, but I think that's crucially important. So what I would do to mix up the paces and to get a lot of steady pace running into my routine, if I was running once a day, I would run one day steady pace, and then the next day an easy pace, next day steady pace, just so I mixed it up a bit. I couldn't run steady pace every day because I felt like that was a bit too much stress on my body, but mixing it up was fine. And if I was running twice a day, which I sometimes have done for training, I would run steady pace in the morning and then an easy pace in the evening. And that worked really well. It just allowed me to recover with the easy paces, but it wasn't monotonously always running easy paces, and it wasn't running steady paces, which is is harder on your body than running easy. It wasn't running that all the time. The next strategy that I used was that I didn't run race pace very often in my training. When I ran a lot of race pace mileage, I found that it really put a lot of stress on my body, and I would burn myself out because it would be too much, it would be too hard. I actually found that when I ran a lot of steady pace, easy pace, and didn't push myself so hard, I was able to stay much more consistent. And because I'm older, I started running later in life, I think that's really helped me. If I'd just gone out and run lots and lots of sessions at race pace, I think that would have given me a lot more injuries, put a lot more stress on my body. I'd have found it a lot harder. And I included quite a few hills in my training to give myself that speed work, but it wasn't so hard on my body, and it was just made the training that little bit easier. Of course, I do think running at race pace is important as well. I think your body needs to get used to running at race pace, so when you go into a race, you're not completely unused to it. But I didn't feel the need to run at that race pace very often. Right, the next strategy or principle or whatever you want to call it, I used a lot, was I trained to get bloody fit. It's like really simple. I didn't really specifically train in certain blocks. This block is for the half marathon, this block is for a marathon, this block is for a 10K. I would just train all the time so I could turn up and run any race fast, because there's so many similarities between 10K, the half marathon, the marathon, and 5K. They really are. You think, they're very, they're quite different in their distances, but there's a lot of similarities in training for them. And I do things like sometimes replace a run with cross training, like on an indoor bike. If I felt injury niggles, I'd definitely go on the bike just to get some rest in my legs. I would feel that I wanted to have more rounded training as well. So yeah, again, I'd use the bike for that. And all my training wasn't geared towards one certain race. It was geared towards everything and just getting really, really fit. It sounds really obvious, but to run a fast half marathon, you need to be really fit. You need to be the fittest you can be. I just wanted to run sessions I enjoyed, run however I wanted most of the time, and enjoy it, and not be forced into running a certain way, a certain training block, a certain level of a certain type of training. I just wanted to enjoy my running as much as possible and just get really fit. And the last strategy that I used is that I was relentlessly consistent. And being consistent for me was by far the number one thing that allowed me to run a fast half marathon and other fast races. It's really as simple as that. And to be consistent, I had to enjoy my running. When I enjoyed my running, I ended up running more, and that enabled me to run faster, become a better runner. And to be able to be consistent and to enjoy it, I focused on the process more than the outcome. So I focused on enjoying every run more than thinking about the race and this big goal in the distance. And I focused on enjoying just getting out every day and doing it. And that's where it comes in, where I just would like run at a steady pace and enjoy that run. Or if I wanted to run at an easy pace, I would do that and enjoy that. I pretty much ran wherever I wanted to run, as long as I got the mileage in, got the consistency in. That then helped me run a half marathon much faster than I would have otherwise, because I wouldn't have been consistent if I hadn't enjoyed the process. I didn't worry if I was running at the right pace or doing the right workout or running at the right time or whatever. I just went out and ran and enjoyed it, and it was consistent. And that consistency is key. And if there's one thing that you can take away from my training to run a half marathon, is that I was relentlessly consistent, and that is the main thing that I continue to do, and I've continued to improve since I started running by being relentlessly consistent. Right, thanks so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please subscribe and like. It really helps me to get the channel and get the message out to more people, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate you just watching the video to the end if you've got to this point. Thank you.